Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today on our second episode of the first training track. Just a brief recap. So last week we went through connecting all of your channels. That webinar is available for everyone to view if you'd like. I can see we've got a few people saying hi in the chat, so hello all. On today's episode, we are going to be covering a couple of different bits. So we're going to be covering your settings and power moves. So this one is really important. We're going to be looking at the different parts of Boxy that often get forgotten about or often don't really get looked at or talked about because we've set it up for you in the background. But these are some things that can really unlock your Boxy potential and get things a bit stronger for you. So what we're going to be covering today is the BI API, which a lot of people might not know about, but this allows you to connect things like Medfin and some other external tools like Power BI. Maybe you've got Google Looker Studio and you want to see more reporting outside of Boxly or match it up with some existing reporting you've got. We're going to look into your AI assistant lead routing, your treatment labels and revenue values, and why these are actually important that we get this kind of stuff done in your setup, or even if it's now, it's not too late, never too late to change anything. So we can get those treatment labels and revenue values looked at. We'll look at your referral boxes and your referral tracking. We're not really going to go too much into the reporting today, but we are going to be able to do it for you. Your ad syncing, we're going to look at that as well. It is a pro feature, but we're going to talk about how we can connect in your Google Ads, Google Analytics, and your Facebook Pixel. And we're going to look into the joyous submission URL. So I'm sure all of you have heard lots about submission URL. You've all seen it when we're talking about web form forwarding. You've all heard us go back and say, can you ask your marketing team to give us your submission URL? It's a really, really important one for us to get right so that we can give you the right kind of reporting, which will set us up nicely for our reporting call and conversation. So I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to share my screen with everyone. So if everyone can just let me know if you can't see my screen, you should be able to see it. Just to mention again, sorry, I do always forget, we've got the lovely Dhruv on the chat. So any questions that you have, please pop them in and he'll be getting back to you in the chat. And then we'll have some time for questions after the end of this call, which I'll read through just any that we might have missed and answer them up for everyone to hear. So the first thing that we're going to look at, I hope everyone can see my screen. I presume I'll get a message if people can't see my screen. But the first thing that we're going to look at and just briefly discuss on today is the BI API. So your BI API gives you the ability, I know a lot of people have come up recently asking if they can connect their Medfin, or they might be with Vendo and Vendo is doing some other forms of reporting. The way that we connect that is using BI API. So we looked last week at the API channel, which brings your leads into Boxy, for example, from follow-up or from your phone call channels. But this is to get your leads out of Boxy so we can report on them. Dhruv is going to share a little article for you in our chat and just show you what that looks like briefly. We've got the two BI types, so BI query and BI SQL. Your team will know what this is. If you have a data team, they will know exactly what this is and what they need to do. But we've got all of the information for them on how to do the connection and all of the different developer guides that they need. It's all available in this article. So we're going to pop it into the chat so you can send it over to your team. However, before they can actually do anything, you need to let us know that you would like BI API enabled on your account, because this allows us to enable the feature for you so that you can give them the codes. Now, because this is very sensitive data, it's patient data, it's really, really important to note that we only grant access to one person. So generally, we would grant this access to the owner or the admin of the account. And you can contact your customer success specialist to get this enabled for you. But as soon as it's been enabled, we'll email you to let you know it's enabled. But you'll see it down in your settings. At the very bottom, you'll see BI data access. And in your BI data access, you'll see the username, a passcode, and all of the information that your developer team might need for SQL and for query. If you do want to give access to someone else in your group, this is only available for the main person who we've granted access to. So only you'll see this, no other team members or team admins will see it. But let's say you're working with Vendo on the reporting and we've granted access to you and you now need to share access to Vendo. You can click on plus user access and you can give them access. Please note they do need to be a part of your account to get this access, but in general, you can just share these credentials with your team and they'll be able to use it without actually having access to your Boxly, as long as they get on these credentials. The same for Medfin. So generally for Medfin, if you need this connected, just let your customer success know. If you're on the Pro plan, we will be able to enable it for you, for your user, and you can send over your information to Medfin and they'll be able to do the connection fully for you. I hope this makes sense. It's not always, there's not always something that I can show you or talk about directly on the webinar or show you examples of what it looks like because it's external to Boxly. But if you do have any questions, pop it in the chat, pop it to us on support using the little support button, and we'll be able to help you as best as we can. The next thing then that we're going to look at as part of today's webinar is the AI Assist section. So you may have briefly looked through it in your setup call or power up call with one of our team, but we don't always go into it in great detail because most of it is set up for you. And we don't want to, we don't want to give you too many tasks when you're setting up your Boxly. But it's really important that we do know about it because when you're adding new boxes, which we'll talk about in our next session, you're adding new boxes or you're changing a box, or maybe you want to merge general dentistry and hygiene into the same kind of box. It's really important to make sure that we've got stuff correct. So when we look in our AI Assist, we've got 4 different tabs across the top. We've got your classifier. And a lot of people ask us, pre-training or just after the training, they're not really 100% sure of what the whole qualified lead means. So a qualified lead is someone who's genuinely interested in treatment. So it's someone who's made an inquiry on your website or has maybe come in through the chatbot, and they're interested in going ahead, booking a consultation, even if you may not know at that point. So it may be a case of they've just made an inquiry, you're not too sure. They are genuinely asking about services. So we want them to be marked as qualified. Now, if we look in the qualification, you can see what we are considering as a qualified lead. You can always add more to that. We do just recommend just chat to us if you want to remove some of this stuff or if you want to add more routing, because as it's AI, we've set it a certain way. AI understands what we've set. Sometimes if you add too much, you can confuse AI a little bit. So just chat with us if you need any confirmation on that. We also then have the spam classifier. So anything that's spam, you guys are unfortunately all familiar with spam. So if you've got funny languages or just loads of characters and stuff like that, this is what our spam routing is set for. However, sometimes, let's say someone might get loads of leads from their web forms from a particular person. Let's say that person's name is Alana. They get loads of leads for Alana. If you add in lead from the name Alana, this can also improve your spam. But again, just double check with the Boxly team if you're adding more to your spam routing so that we make sure we're not confusing AI too much. Now, down below is a little one that is not often paid attention to, but it is quite an important one, and that is our other category. So I'm sure you would have seen in reporting as well, you might see qualified leads, binned leads, spam leads, and other. Other leads are leads that fall under the category. It's not actually someone asking about treatment. So it could be an existing patient who's gone onto your chatbot and asked for their invoice, or an existing patient who has gone onto a web form and asked for some insurance forms, for example. It's really, really important that we have these categories here, because obviously you don't want to report that I've had 10 leads in, none of them have converted, because it's not necessarily that they're all expected to convert. 8 of those could have been people like existing patients who are just asking for their invoice, for their paperwork. So we can add a category. For example, here we can add invoice requests. And that will also show in your lead. So if we have a look at one of our leads, when you are unqualifying a lead, so you might see the little pop-up here that says, is this a qualified lead, yes or no? If you click no, it will go directly to unknown. But if your team wanted to work it further, you can click on the classification in the contact area, and you can pop in that it's an invoice request, for example. That means it's going to be excluded from your qualified leads reporting, which we'll be covering a lot more in our reporting session, but we want to make sure that we're classifying leads correctly so that you're not missing out and you're not seeing that your team isn't performing as well as you expect them to perform. In the other section, so we can add a lot more. You can add existing patients, you can add job inquiry. I know we get a lot of DMs about jobs, looking for nursing positions, looking for TCO positions. You can add all of those in, and as you add them in, AI is learning as well, so AI can add that to the lead, and automatically, as you see your others, as you increase your other labels or categories in this section, you'll see that AI will start labeling them they'll start classifying it accordingly. Now, in your lead sorter, so this is a really, really, really powerful and important part of your Boxly. This is set up for you when we initially set up your Boxly account, and we do set up your lead routing based on your lead sorter. But like I said, sometimes you want to combine general dentistry and general dentistry and hygiene, or you might want to put all your NHS leads to go into your general dentistry box. It's possible and it's completely fine. So instead of your team having to manually move leads from unsorted to general dentistry, for example, if you click on the little edit next to general dentistry, you'll see the lead description or the lead routing description that we've added in here. Now, the lead routing description, Drew's going to drop a little article in for us again, but we have quite a few lead routing descriptions kind of pre-filled. We've got some AI features. This is going to bring you kind of to all of our stuff that we're covering now. So for the lead routing, you can see over here how you can add in extra. So if I wanted to include hygiene in here, I can add hygiene appointments, direct access, and I can add anything that would fit under my hygiene, deep clean, those kind of things, which would allow AI to understand that any hygiene needs to go into my general dentistry box. This is also really important if you add a manual box. So you might add a box for when let's say you're adding a box for when a lead comes from follow-up, for example. You don't want leads to just random leads to go in there. You want your follow-up leads to go in there. So you can say for leads who come from follow-up, or of course we can do a channel automation at that stage for follow-up specifically. So probably not the best example for follow-up, but if you wanted like your existing patients, you can say for any patients who are already part of the practice looking to reschedule their appointment, looking for invoices, because also remember, our boxes are there for automations. So we don't want existing patients to go into a general dentistry box and get a message saying, thanks for your general dentistry inquiry. Now, down in our treatments labeler, so this is a really important one. We always toggle this on for you, and we set it up so that it has 2 labels. But what's really important about this, and something that's very different from the get-go, is that in Boxly, you would have noticed when your lead comes in from whatever channel it comes in from, so it comes in from your web forms, from your chatbot, from your landing pages, generally a label is automatically added to the lead. Now, when that label is added to the lead, that's done by AI. So AI reads what the lead is inquiring about and tries to add it in. By default, Boxly sets it up to have 2 labels for you. For your boxes like implants, Invisalign, you might want only 1 label to be added to the lead. So you can change this in the treatments label area to 1 label. So that means anytime I get an inquiry for implants, I only want 1 label added to the lead, and I only want that to be the implants label. This is something that can always be manually changed as you go with leads. So it's not like, you know, the lead can only ever be implants and it can never change. And I will show you what that looks like. But we want to make sure that you're getting the best value out of your labels, because you're also going to be reporting on them. So there's no point really for a lead that inquires about dental implants to get a all on 4 label and a dental implant label. We just want one of the 2 labels. So if they mention all on 4, we want all on 4. If they mention dental implants, we want just the implant label. So over here is just where you can amend. Maybe you don't want labels to be auto added for your Invisalign. You can toggle them off, and you can toggle between the 2 different labels here. Your team should be and can refine and drill down as they build onto the treatment plan. So as your patient has actually had that consultation, you'll be drilling out exactly what that patient's going to be having, and you can add those onto the lead. Generally, we would recommend 1 label for your things like implants, Invisalign or clear aligners, but where patients might not be exactly sure what they need, so maybe like cosmetic dentistry, they might want whitening and veneers, or they might want, they might come in for general dentistry and they want a hygiene and a checkup, or a bridge and a checkup kind of thing. So it's always good to have a look at this area and just think of how you want to see it coming through. The last little bit is your location labeler. So this is only relevant if you're on a location account. So I'm just going to switch to my location account here. And what your location labeler does, this is how AI knows where your lead is coming from. So in general, your web forms, if we look at these locations, your web form will generally say, which location are you interested in? Birmingham, Bristol, Cape Town, London. However, sometimes with web forms or a chatbot, like a patient might say, instead of saying Cape Town, they might say South Africa. So if we know that patients are commonly saying something like South Africa, or they're saying a particular area in Cape Town where our clinic is based, let's say our clinic is based in Sea Point in Cape Town, we can click on edit here, and we can add the keyword of Sea Point, and we can add South Africa, so that whenever a patient maybe just texts you or DMs you on Instagram or WhatsApp and says, hey, I want to book an appointment in Sea Point, I want to book an appointment in South Africa, that will then teach AI that if the word Sea Point is used, I want to add the label, the location label of Cape Town. So I hope that makes sense. I know there's a lot in the AI assist side of things. We do set, like I said, we set most of this up for you. But it's always good to know where this section is. This is your powerhouse. This is what's powering where your leads are going and how your leads are being labeled. So really, really important that you know how to get into this area. Now, the next little section, and it's a nice little segue from our treatments labeler, is what we call labels. So I know a lot of people are probably rolling their eyes because everyone has seen the labels. Nobody loves my labels. But this is part of your initial setup call. So when you get on the setup call with one of our team, you'll be asked to add values to your labels. So AI scrapes your website. It is AI, just by the way. So sometimes you may see a bit of a weird label there, like, for example, we'll just pull this one, free dental checkups for kids. It's free. You may not need to add a value there, but we do pull from AI what we think might be potential treatment labels from your website. So over here, you can see that this account for my website has scraped the website, pulled over some labels for me, but the values are coming through as 0. Now, I know some of you might have pricing on your website. I know it feels a little bit tedious, but we're actively looking at improving it to start with, but it is a really, really, really important part of your Boxly, especially for your revenue, for your marketing. You want your team to be able to see what value this patient is bringing to the practice, because, I mean, obviously for teams, all of their first goal is to get someone to book in that consultation or that initial appointment. But if I'm looking at an implants box and I see one lead is worth £2,000 and one lead is worth £15,000, I, as an ex-TCO, I know where I want to focus my attention for this. So Dhruv is going to drop in a little article on how to value your leads, and it will show you exactly how you can come in here and value them. But just to show you briefly, so let's say we're going to look at the implants. If we click edit label, we can add in either the average treatment price or your from value. This is not something that's ever shown to patients, so it's okay to put in an average value if you prefer. But what this does is when we add the value of 2,900, when that lead initially comes in, so let's say my lead implant's probably the wrong example here. So I'm just going to do my Invisalign one quickly. So I know my Invisalign at my practice starts at £4,000. So when I see my lead, let's say it's come in from a web form, that lead will be automatically labeled with Invisalign. So it will prevent the team from having to do that extra manual step, and it will have a value associated to it. So I can see, okay, this patient, Alana Webinar, is valued at £4,000. This is giving you your estimated revenue on incoming leads. And we are going to have a deep dive into our reporting on one of our webinar sessions. But this is able to tell you, okay, Alana, as a practice manager, you've had £10,000 worth of Invisalign inquiries come in the last 2 weeks. That's converted to, let's say, consult book. That's given you 8,000 worth of consults booked. So potential consult book could lead to £8,000 worth of revenue. But when your team is then moving your lead to your one stage, so to your green treatment agreed stage, we will be prompting them to put in the accurate value that the patient has agreed to spend. So we say move to treatment agreed. And when we try and move that, we don't expect them to remember it. They deal with a lot of stuff on a daily basis. So over here is where it's a little prompt for me. Okay, I know Alana's started her treatment. She signed her estimate. She's paid her deposit. She is going to be paying $5,250 for her Invisalign. And on top of that, we're actually going to do some bonding, which was quoted to her. And that quote that was given to is £750 as part of this treatment plan. So a couple of things have happened. When we look at that lead, you can see the Invisalign and bonding label have been added. The value has changed to 6,000, which includes the Invisalign and the bonding label. This then in reporting is going to show you that you had £4,000 worth of Invisalign inquiries come in, and that's converted to a value of £6,000. Of course, when your team moves your lead to treatment completed, they can change the value. So you can change the value at any point of the box lead journey just by clicking the value and changing the price here. So let's say her Invisalign actually changed to 6,000 because she needed additional aligners. Now, why this is really important and why we have a little tie-in for this is because this really works so well when you've got your ads management connected and you've got your ads platform. So obviously with your marketing team is able to tell you, okay, I've had 100 leads submit for Invisalign. And then after that, it kind of drops off. It's like, okay, well, we need to manually check our spreadsheet to how many has converted. We need to manually check how many have booked a consult, how many have been lost. But with our integration with Google Ads, with Facebook Pixel, we're able to automatically send this information back. So anytime an inquiry comes in, we're able to send back to Google Analytics, okay, we've had an inquiry for Invisalign, it's been marked as qualified and it's valued currently at 4,000. As soon as that lead hits your first milestone, which is consult booked, which is what we would probably say to let your team know is your conversion, primary conversion milestone, we would then be able to send consultation booked back to your Google Analytics. So instead of just saying, okay, we've had 100 forms submitted, we can say out of those 100 forms that actually submitted, 73 of them actually booked a consultation. And what this does is, as it's sending this information back to Google Ads, Google Analytics, it's also talking to your Google Analytics and saying, hey, this is the audience that's kind of booking, 20-year-olds who are searching for this. And it can teach your Google Analytics to better optimize your ads. So Dhruv is going to drop a little article in on how to connect your Google Ads and Analytics. This can be, you can invite your marketing team in to do this connection for you, or you can do the connection. But if we click on the little paper plane, the engagement suite, and click into ad tracking, over here, you'll see all of your ads management that you can connect in. If you click learn more, it will open up the same article that Dhruv is sending in, which gives you step-by-steps on how to connect every single channel. So for your Google Ads, if we click on Google Ads, you'll see it opens Gmail. It opens your Google sign-in because it's OAuth. This is the way Google works. You just sign in with your admin user that you use to log into Google Ads and Analytics, and it will connect that up for you. For your Google Analytics, it asks for some information, your account name, measurement ID, and API secret. All of that we've got in our little guide on how you can find that information. So you'll be able to see this or send it on to your marketing team if you need. Again, if you need our help, if you want us to just send you these articles, after we tell you to do the connection, we can send them over to you in an email with no problem. But just let us know, because again, this will tie into our reporting webinar, but you'll be able to see return on ad spend, cost per lead, cost per acquisition, and even more. So I don't want to go too much into the reporting side of things on this webinar, but we will be doing that separately. So really, really important. If you're on the Pro plan and you do have marketing, you're spending so much money on your marketing, let's show you more value and give you more information on what your leads are doing and how your marketing is performing. We'll also send a little article, we'll drop it in here, on how to connect and optimize your Google Ads conversions within Boxly and what Boxly is sending to your ads platforms. So more often than not, you can do this connection, but you still need to go into your Google Ads and do a bit of optimizing. So over there, we want to set your primary milestone or your primary conversion action. So that's on the Google side of things. Unfortunately, Boxly can't do it for you. So even though we're sending that event information over to your marketing platform, you still need to go in there and just set it as your primary conversion action so that you're able to track more. The value as well. So Boxly will automatically send the correct treatment value. So anytime that lead's value is changed, we'll send that on for you to your Google Ads and Analytics. I know the marketing things is quite intense and there's a lot to look at. We will be doing a separate article on your marketing side of things. But with your marketing, and this is why Boxly is so heavy on your submission URL, with regards to your Google Ads, Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, the way we're able to communicate back to these softwares, so the way we're able to talk back and give you this information, like someone has converted, someone's hit consult booked, someone's value has changed, is using what is called a GCLID. So the lovely GCLID, not all of us, I mean, we don't all need to understand that. That's what you have a marketing team for. But what this is, it's the little patient identifier. And we are really, really reliant on these submission URLs to talk back to your platforms. We will go deeper diving into your marketing, but what we need your URL to look like for us to be able to communicate back to your platforms is we need to see a URL like this. For Facebook, for Google Ads, we need to see the GCLID. And if we have UTMs, we can also pull those through and show them to you in a separate marketing report. This is also how Boxly is able to automatically attribute a lead to a Google paid ad or a Facebook paid ad or a Facebook lead ad. It's really, really important that we get this information fully from your web forms. It's automatically there. We automatically are able to pull that there for your bot or your AI front desk. But please, can you ask your web team? I know it maybe seems like minor stuff to them, but for you to be able to report and to make things a lot less manual on your reporting and for your team. If we receive this, we'll automatically talk back to your platforms and automatically and correctly attribute the lead sources for you. Now, for any questions on the marketing side of things, please do feel free. Like I said, we've got a live support. Please do message them. The team is absolutely amazing when it comes to marketing stuff. A lot of people who have met me know that it goes straight over my head. But they're really good at being able to dig into this kind of stuff and see what more information that we need. Okay. So if you don't have your Google Ads tracking connected, or if you're not sure if it's working, reach out to your customer success specialist. We can check on your web forms if we're receiving the submission URL correctly, and we can send you over that article. Dhruv has also plugged it in here for you, but we can also send that over to you directly so that you can send it to your marketing team to make sure we're getting stuff correctly. I'm going to give a couple of seconds just for any questions on the marketing. I will answer more questions, but if there's anyone typing in the chat there. Okay. So another little thing that may seem quite small and maybe insignificant when we're doing a setup call is we will ask you to add in your practitioners. So adding in practitioners, it's not adding them as users to Boxly. It might seem a little bit tedious, especially if you have a bigger practice with quite a few clinicians or practitioners. But over here, we want to add the practitioners you have in your practice so that you can report on how many consults have been booked with, I've completely blanked on all names. I'm going to pick someone out of the chat. So I'm going to say with Dr. Stacey. So how many people have booked with Dr. Stacey? How many people have booked with Dr. Imelda, and how that practitioner is converting leads. So again, we'll dive into it a bit more in your reporting, in the reporting webinar, but we really want to be able to show you, obviously there are multiple different points of conversion within in a practice. Getting the lead to come into the practice is the first one, but from the consultation to starting treatment, it really does heavily depend on that practitioner. So if we're seeing Stacey, no offense, but if we're seeing 100 consultations being booked with Stacey, all of them have been attended, but none of them have started treatment. It depends how you work in practice. It could be that the TCO hasn't followed up, but it could be that Stacey, this practitioner, is not sending out any treatment plans, or patients just don't get along with her. Whatever the case is, you're going to be able to report on this. So while it may seem tedious initially, it's something that's really powerful for you down the line and something that's a little bit more visible for you within Boxly. So just to show you as well how your team will be doing this, thank you, Drew, ahead of me there with the article. So just to show you how that looks, when your team has a lead, so let's say they move Alana to consultation booked, I know it's further back, but they should be adding the practitioner in this little pop-up here, because this will then add into our reporting that Stacey has had a lead in treatment completed. Stacey has had a lead in consult booked. And even if the practitioner changes, so let's say the patient goes to Stacey for the consultation, but ends up going to Dr. Imelda for treatment, we can always change the practitioner. And that's also visible in our milestone history. So if we forgot to add the practitioner when we first moved the lead there, we can always backdate. So we can go back in and we can add the practitioner in here. So that way we can see the lead was 1 when Stacey was managing the patient as a practitioner, but now Imelda is the one who got them through to treatment completed, and you can see the difference in value. So really important that we're getting this information in, that we've got our teams doing it. We are going to be showing this to the teams, and we do it in training, but sometimes it's one of the smaller things that gets missed out. So if this is something that you guys want to be able to see and report on, please encourage your team to use this feature. We've dropped in the article here for you. So if you want to send it over to your team, that's no problem. And all of this stuff is available on our help guide as well, and in little short videos for you. Sorry, my speaking notes are on a separate screen. So one of the things that we have as well in Boxly is a referral box. So most of you by now will have your referral box, but the referral box is kind of a special box, and it's quite different to any of our other boxes in that we're able to see leads when they come into the referral box with the patient name, what their inquiry is. So that always shows, we get a little AI generated summary of what the patient's asking about. But down at the bottom, you'll see the referring dentist name and the referring practice. This will again be shown more in detail in our reporting. So we're going to be able to report on how many leads Dr. Drew has sent to us. But this allows you to manage incoming referrals and also communicate with both the dentist and the patient, or the referring practitioner and the patient, within the same lead. So instead of you having to have one lead for the patient, Levi, and one lead for Drew to say, thanks, Drew, we've received your referral. Hi, Levi, we've received a referral for you. that can all be automated through Boxly. So because my account that I'm using currently isn't, I haven't got my domain verified, which is one of my important bits, but because I haven't got my domain verified, the automations haven't sent out. But for example, here, we can see the form that the referring dentist has submitted. So the patient details, the dentist information, what practice the patient's coming from, is this case urgent? That's just a question I have on my form. What treatment the referring dentist wants you to do for the patient, any additional notes they've given, and the referring dentist has uploaded an X-ray, which is also visible within Boxly. So if we click into files, it does take a few seconds to load just because it's scraping everything to try and find this file. So while that's loading up, I'm just going to open a new tab, leave that loading, and you'll be able to view it. Obviously, your team, technically your TCO and reception team, don't generally need to view it. They'll be able to download it and upload it to the Dentally exact care stack chart for the dentist to be able to review. Now, obviously, we can see the patient's name and the dentist's name. It's not much use to us just being able to see it. So what Boxly does is it adds it into the contact area. So we've got the patient information here, and we've got the dentist information here. But where it gets really powerful, obviously with our automations, we can automate out either to the dentist or the patient. But even when sending a manual email, we can choose to reply to the patient. So, hi, patient. Or we can reply to the practitioner. So we can say, thanks, dentist. Now, the difference is because obviously, it's all in one lead card. If we reply to the patient, you won't see who you've replied to in the top right. But if you've communicated with the dentist, so you've sent an after consult report, an after treatment report, you'll be able to see all of that within your lead here. If the dentist replies, you'll see their reply coming back in with referring dentist, and the same for the patient. Just important to note that when we do communicate to leads in our referral box, if you choose to WhatsApp or SMS, that is only available for when you're communicating with the patient. So you cannot WhatsApp or SMS the dentist. It's only available for patient communication. So just worth noting, if you think you're messaging the dentist on SMS, it's not always possible. If you wanted to WhatsApp or SMS the dentist, my suggestion would be just creating a separate lead, not in the referral box to communicate with the dentist. But generally, I can't imagine that TCOs or reception team would be communicating directly with the referring dentist on WhatsApp anyway. This then also obviously brings in a lot more powerful reporting for you. So really important to be able to see how many leads you're getting referred in by specific dentist. So one of my clients actually joked with me. I said, if someone's sending you 150 patients a month, you can send them a nice little thank you at the end of the year. He laughed, saying that's probably not all they would send, but it's a nice way to be able to see, okay, well, Dr. Drew has referred 150 leads to me in the last 3 months. Not one of them have booked a consultation. Maybe I need to have a chat with Dr. Drew about sending more qualified leads to me, or maybe it's a case that the referring dentist needs to be communicating a bit better with the patient that they're going to be referred out, and they need to get in touch. So it's really, really good if you have those specialist referrals to be able to track it. We read all this information directly from your web form. So if you have a referral page, just let your customer success know, and we can get that set up or advise you on how to set that up so that it comes straight into Boxly. I'm not sure, Drew, I'm on a different screen. Drew is going to drop in a little article for you on the referral side of things. If you have any questions on it, we do also have a Loom video on how the referral box works. So if you want to send it to your teams, we'll also be discussing it in the separate team training. Stacy, I see your message, just you're not sure about replying to a referring dentist. This could be because you don't have the actual referral box. You may just have a box called referrals, but it's not the actual functionality. So if you just reach out to support, or your customer success team member will be able to look into that after the webinar for you directly. So really try, if you have referrals coming in, I know some people have very specific referral workflows. You can always talk to us about it and we can see what we can do to get that working for you within Boxly. We do have some referral clinics who use Boxly to manage their referrals. So it is possible, but please just feel free to reach out to us if you're not sure, if there's something you want to look into a bit more. This is covering, well, we have covered all of the things I wanted to look at today. So we have some extra time. Definitely want to give you some extra lunchtime back, and thank you all for joining on our lunchtime call. But does anyone have any questions that they'd like us to go through? Drew, are there any questions that you want to pop up for me to answer live? I know you're quite good on the chat, so you've probably already answered a load of the questions. Just in the meantime, because I know a lot of people are going to be signing off, please stay tuned for what's coming next week. So we are going to be going through boxes, stages, automations, building boxes, building stages, building automations, editing stuff. And this is also a really, really powerful tool to know how to use within Boxly. So please do join our sessions. You're already registered, but please do join our sessions to get the most out of this. And if you've got maybe a TCO or head receptionist who's doing this for you, please feel free to get them onto the call as well next week.